Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Fallen London. Today we're going to be carrying on with the exceptional story, A Nest in the Eaves. We are on our way to the inner sanctum. You are the nest. The nest is you. Do not proceed until you are certain you have done all you wish. You will not be able to return. Starved workers guard the opening of the heart of the nest. They run their claws through your clothes and pockets and hair, chittering softly as they groom you in preparation for entry. A mass of soft-bodied starved lie on the floor within. Their heads are so large they resemble infants, and they gaze enraptured at an iridescent edifice the size of a house. It is a face with compound eyes and antennae. The starved mystic steps out of the shadows. "These are the drones," he says, gesturing to the reclining starved. "And that," he gestures towards the head, "is the Queen. We've been granted audience with the Queen. Your face is reflected in the 1,000 black lenses of the Queen's compound eyes. They glisten, and you realize they are not hard, but gelatinous, like a vertebrate's. There is a sticky sound, and every single one of the eyes swivels its socket to fix on you. So we can either look into the Queen's eyes. They are black and fathomlessly deep. We can ask what manner of creature the Queen is. If anyone understands, it's the starved mystic. Or we can ask, what of the drones? They do nothing but lie on the floor and gaze at their Queen. Let's ask what kind of creature she is before I start staring into her eyes. "I cannot explain with any ornithological specificity," replies the starved mystic, "because what she is cannot be extricated from us." He strokes the Queen's iridescent face. "She is of infernal origin. Some of her people become like this eventually, once they have died enough times in the right way. Our Queen grew to love humans back when her body resembled ours. So when it began to change, she grieved. Every death took her further from us." The mystic's eyes well with tears. But then she realized it meant she could take humans into herself, absorb us, become us. This is sounding not great. But what of the drones? They do nothing but lie on the floor. "Workers become part of the Queen's body, and we keep her alive," says the starved mystic. "But her mind cannot be allowed to decay." The starved mystic crouches next to a drone, who lies on his back, no longer able to lift his own vast head. "She needs people who love her to swim in her mind, dissolve in it, and leave traces of themselves behind." He strokes the drone's bulbous forehead. The longer the Queen survives, the more she and the drones become something new together. None of this has made me want to look into her eyes. But we have no choice. You lean in toward the wall of eyes. An almost imperceptible iris rings each one, contracting to focus on you. "It was not always this way," says the starved mystic. The mystic strokes the great chitinous face. "Before she became something we could be a part of, she was smaller and softer. And that was a long time ago, before the fall, before several falls, if I understand correctly." The chitinous Queen twitches her antennae in assent, and the drones sigh. "Her people have a curatorial instinct," continues the mystic. "They collect souls but discard the bodies. She is not so dismissive. Let's ask what becoming a drone would entail. Would it hurt? Would you go mad? Would you care? The starved mystic takes your hand in her claw and leads you to the nursery where the drones gestate in membrane-covered cells of ambernotic amber. You will be shaped, she explains, in amber that has been laced with the venom of the false stars. All you will see is the queen, and the venom will make you love her. You will want to stay inside her forever, and you can. You will want to know everything about her, and she will immerse you in her mind. It will be bliss. I was one once, says the starved mystic, looking lovingly down at the gestating drones. But while I was immersed in the queen's mind, she understood something about me. That I was like an eye being used as a tooth. She took me out, reshaped me, and sent me back into London to find new workers. I am content now, for I am fulfilling my purpose. Still, I miss it. I wanted for nothing, and neither will you. How about no? We have two options. We can accept the Chitinous Queen's offer. You wish to become a drone. This will offer more insights into the Chitinous Queen, but will limit your options as you become helplessly flooded with affection. Or I can decline. You have no wish to be made to love. I'm going to decline. The starved mystic's mandibles twitch. Taking your arm with her claw, she hurries you from the nursery. The error is mine, she mutters. The offer should not have been made. Those who have been presented to the Queen are seldom allowed to leave easily. She leads you to the bottom of the nest. There is another dirigible due soon, she says. I'll be boarding it myself, and you must stow away. If you are discovered, you may be thrown to the false stars. She runs a hand over a chitinous wall. It vibrates beneath her touch. For the good of the hive. Wait, so me saying no has turned me into an enemy? Uh-oh. I am placing great trust in you, whispers the starved mystic, to keep the Queen's secret once you are back in London. I believe you will forever feel enough a part of the nest to do so. I hope I am not wrong. She leaves. For a while, you are alone in a silent corridor of cracked and faded chitin. After so much time in the nest, it is not easy to distinguish the Queen's rhythms from your own. But something about her vibrations feels wrong. You put your hand to the floor. Let's listen. There is something not right. Tremors run through the Queen's body. Following the scent of cavern air, you advance along the corridor to an opening and look up. You see a snarl of insectile legs far above you, each the size of a surfaced tree. They are convulsing, smashing against the roof and sending chunks of rock into the Z. Squinting, you are able to make out a small swarm of false stars tearing at the thin shell that shields the Queen's belly from attack. Behind you, starved screams echo along the chitinous corridor. The workers cannot tell the Queen's pain from their own. The sheer face of the Queen's carapace looms above you. It may be possible, if you scale it now, to distract the false stars and halt their attack long enough for the workers to mount a defense. If you do nothing, the Queen's pain will continue to overwhelm their minds. So we can either defend the nest with a 30% chance of success. Regardless of what you may think of the Queen, you do not wish her denizens harm. Or we can just hide and wait for the dirigible. You've risked enough for the Queen. I guess I should try to defend the nest? Let's see what happens. You scramble towards the nearest false star, narrowly avoiding its venom and landing on its silvery back. It thrashes, and you are crushed between its shell and the queen's. You slip off, winded, but the creature has become wedged in the crease, where one of the queen's legs joins her belly. The false star hisses, attracting the attention of the others. Distracted from their assault on the queen, they scuttle towards their trapped fellow. It is in that a cohort of starved workers emerges from the opening from whence you came. They hang back, thinking clearly now that the glare of the queen's pain has momentarily faded, and wait until the false stars are perched on the queen's leg. That is when they attack the queen herself, tearing away at the ancient membranes of her leg. The appendage has atrophied after decades of dangling uselessly in the air, and the workers ignore the pain of it being gnawed away at the root. Before the false stars understand what's happening, the leg lurches away from the body. It hangs for a moment, and then a tendon snaps. The leg tumbles down to the Z, studded with false stars. We failed, but we won. One of the starved workers looks up, her vast jaws sticky with the queen's blood. Before you can move, she has grabbed you and hauled you back into the nest. The great body is in chaos, and none of the other workers notice as she drags you back to the inner sanctum and throws you before the queen's twitching face. The drones moan softly on the floor, contorted in pain and clutching their own limbs. The starved mystic rushes in, glances at you, and strokes the queen's antenna. Well, let's allow the starved mystic to speak. There's nothing else you can do. You can still see the starved mystic's pupils behind her stretched eyelids as she communes with the queen with her eyes closed. Eventually, she opens them and looks at you. "You saved her life," she says. The starved worker who brought you back here lowers her great head in gesture of assent. "The queen thinks you refused dronehood because you did not believe yourself part of her. But you could not have done what you did had you been more attuned to the nest, more able to feel her pain. Your refusal to join her saved her." She scrutinizes your face. "You will face no opposition in returning to London." Fantastic. As the starved mystic leads you back towards the dirigible platform, you are silently joined by workers, both shaped and unshaped. They follow you to the platform and wait, silently looking out over the cavern until the dirigible arrives. Let's allow the starved mystic to take us back to London. The queen is badly injured. The nest is in chaos. There is little left that you can help with. When the dirigible finally arrives at the platform, the starved mystic guides you aboard, alongside not only the workers, but a clutch of haunted people you realize are reshaped drones. Everyone is lost in their own thoughts and pays you no heed. As the dirigible drifts away from the nest, you see the chitinous queen's remaining legs coiling and uncoiling beneath her bulbous body. She will live on. The dirigible drifts gently through the cavern air, back towards the lights of London. The starved mystic stands at the prow, while former drones sit weeping on the deck, holding each other. A clutch of workers lean against the railings. Speak with the starved mystic. "What happened? Do you remember when I told you that the false stars posed a continued threat?" asked the starved mystic. "Harvesting their venom has always provoked them. but the Queen needs drones. She flexes her antennae in a gesture of resignation. Thanks to you, a crisis was averted, but the Queen may not be so fortunate again. I must remember that death is different for her kind. Less an ending, more a molting of an old form, so that one might emerge and harden into another. Besides, her being is diffuse. We all carry her within us, especially those who were once drones. Console the former drones. They are lying prostrate upon the deck. They dragged us away from her, says a man in a cracked voice, casting a look of betrayal at the workers. She wasn't dead, but they said if we stayed she'd pull us all into her mind and keep us there until we drowned. Instead they pulled us into amber, says a woman, to put us back the way we were and squeeze our heads back into shape. I thought I'd go mad from the screams before I realised they were coming from me. The workers say it'll wear off, says another. The false star venom. But I will never stop loving her. She is a part of me. She lives within. One's commune with the former workers. Some have been reshaped, some remain as they were. When she first invited me to the nest, there's a worker, nodding in the direction of the starved mystic, I just wanted to escape London. I didn't think it would change me. At least, she scratches her ear with an antenna, not my mind. But living so long without regard for myself has made me think about everything differently, even the nest itself. Where will you go? Back in London? Interjects another. Oh, I left everything behind, muses the first. But it doesn't matter. Blood will make its way around the entire body. Eventually, let's disembark. Solid ground is beneath you once more. You climb down the rope ladder onto a slate rooftop. These tiles are dull and grey, and you surreptitiously press a hand to them, as if you might detect a distant pulsing of some great organ beneath. There is nothing. The drones and workers disperse, dissolving into the city like drops of blood in water. At last, the starved mystic leaps from the dirigible, landing almost silently on her many feet. She looks at you, the expression in the facets of her face unreadable. Here we have a roof chart, a map, unrelatable and changeable though it is, of the winding paths and jagged terrain that makes up the roof. Careful not to confuse north and south. You're supposed to hold it up above your head. I don't think I've ever seen one of those before. That must be from the dirigible content, maybe? That I still haven't got to, because I still don't have a railway. Yeah. Oh. The new exceptional story's up. The Chitinous Queen's Secret. Thanks to you, the Chitinous Queen survived the false star's attack and lives on between the stalactites on the roof. According to the starved mystic, she is of infernal origin, so the Brass Embassy may be interested to know of her location. Ooh! I can keep the Chitinous Queen a secret if the Brass Embassy does not already recognize a statute of limitations regarding certain matters. Perhaps it should. Or we can inform the Brass Embassy of the Chitinous Queen's whereabouts. If you post an anonymous letter, it need not lead back to you. Small part of me wants to tell the Brass Embassy to see what they'll do. I'm just curious. I'm guessing it'll just give me favour with the Brass Embassy, but then again, an anonymous letter, so they might not even know it was from me. Let's inform the Brass Embassy. I want to see what they do. You compose a veiled account of the events on the roof. You cannot draw an exact map to her location, but the Queen is a distinctive specimen. Perhaps the embassy's explorers will find her. Although you leave no clues to your identity, and slip the letter into a postbox far from your lodgings, a delivery nevertheless arrives for you within a week. It has no signature. God damn it. Hey, I got some Amanita sherry. You might drink this if you were a devil, or if you hadn't learned to read labels. And here's the epilogue. Some time after your return to the roof, there is a knock at the door of your lodgings. It's the starved mystic, still draped in her robes. I have not been able to hold a gathering since our return, she says, and neither have I been able to discuss the matter with anyone. I thought perhaps you might allow me to speak with you about it. Sure, cannot hurt. The Queen is recovering, says the starved mystic, scuttling into your lodgings, but the process is arduous. She requires more workers, she sighs, and more drones. She looks at you, or so she said when I went into her mind. She folds herself into a seated position on the rug. I thought I understood why she needed drones, but without them she would become lonely and mad. But her mind is ancient and labyrinthine. I don't understand it, and I cannot ask others to do something I cannot fathom. The starved mystic turns her strange face to you. I do not know what is best, she says. After everything, I would appreciate your perspective. 2 options. You should stop recruiting. The nest is not a single entity. It is an arrangement in which an ancient being exploits less powerful creatures. Or we should say she should continue. The nest is unique. There is no other way to gain such a perspective. I'm going to go with she should stop recruiting. The starved mystic's shoulders sag. Then she shrugs off her robe, balls it up, and hurls it into your fire. Beneath, she is wearing stoker's overalls, far too short for her limbs. They make her look like a vast, spidery child. If I cannot fully understand the Queen, she says eventually, then perhaps the reverse is true. Perhaps we are not like her after all, and cannot be made to think as a single organism. She reaches inside a pocket of her overalls, pulls out a chunk of amber, and drops it on your rug with a thump. I thought that if you told me to stop recruiting for the Queen, I'd use that on myself and put myself back the way I was. But I think I need a reminder, and people should know to be afraid of me. She gave us a nodule of pulsating amber. And this marks the end of the exceptional story, A Nest in the Eaves. I thought that was a remarkably interesting story. I am very interested to see how this plays out, if you side with the Queen or, you know, tell the mystic to not stop recruiting. So if anyone has played this and done the other ending, please leave a comment down below, tell me how it went. But overall, I love the writing, I love the story, and I love the setting. The next exceptional story is called Death and Taxes, isn't it? No, Death and Tax Evasion, and it's about Rattus Faber, so I'm excited for that one as well. But thank you all very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, let me know what you think. Your comments are greatly appreciated. Thank you again to the members of the channel and the coffee supporters. It really does mean the world to me and help me keep making these videos. And as always, I'll see you next time.